Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Top Coin, where we uncover the hidden gems in your pocket change. Today's video is going to blow your mind because we're diving deep into a tiny piece of metal that could be worth way more than just 1 cent. That's right, we're talking about the 1976 United States 1 cent coin. It might be just a penny to most people, but if you know what to look for, this coin could be a gold mine. So grab your coin jars, dust off those piggy banks, and let's find out if you're sitting on a small fortune. Stick around because some of these rare variations are fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the collector's market. Let's take a trip back in time to the year 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years of independence. Fireworks were exploding, parades filled the streets, and patriotism was at an all-time high. But here's the twist. While the country was busy printing special bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins with double dates and special designs, the humble 1 cent coin continued its quiet journey, mostly unchanged. The 1976 Lincoln cent, also known as the 1 cent coin, wasn't given a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half dollar, or dollar. Instead, it carried on the tradition with the same design that had been in place since 1959. The iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln portrait has remained a constant presence on U.S. pennies for over a century, first appearing in 1909. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Even though it wasn't a special edition coin, the 1976 penny has become a sleeper collectible. Why? Because of the minting details, small variations, and some very valuable era coins that slipped through the cracks. The 1976 1 cent coin was minted in 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark; Denver, Mint Mark D; San Francisco, Mint Mark S. Only for proof coins, most of the coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Proof coins, which are struck with extra care and intended for collectors, came out of San Francisco. If you look just below the date on your coin and see a small S, you have a proof coin, and that's a great start if you're hunting value. The mintage numbers were huge that year. Philadelphia struck over 4.6 billion pennies. Denver struck over 4.2 billion. And San Francisco produced about 4 million proof coins. So with so many minted, how can this coin be rare or valuable? Well, that's where things get interesting. There are several factors that determine a coin's value: condition, rarity, mint mark, and whether it contains any errors. And let me tell you, the 1976 penny has some wild era coins and ultra-rare varieties that collectors will pay a premium for. Let's break them down. White heavy checkmark high-grade coins, MS67 and above. Most 1976 pennies are worth just 1 cent, but if your coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and shows no wear, it could be worth a lot more. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC grade coins on a 70-point scale. A penny graded MS67, mint state 67, or higher can fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on demand and rarity. White heavy checkmark proof coins, especially deep cameo, proof coins with the S mint mark, especially those with deep cameo contrast, where the raised parts of the coin are frosty and the background is mirror-like, are highly desirable. These coins were made for collectors and never intended for circulation. A flawless proof coin can be worth $25 to $150 or more. White heavy checkmark era coins, the real jackpot. This is where it gets really exciting. Some 1976 pennies have rare minting errors that make them extremely valuable. Here are just a few types to look out for. Double die obverse, DDO. This error happens when the coin is struck with a misaligned die, causing doubling in the date or lettering. These coins can sell for hundreds of dollars depending on severity. Off-center strikes, coins that were not struck properly and are missing part of the design. If 50% or more is missing and the date is still visible, collectors will pay a premium, sometimes up to $200 or more. Clipped planchet, when a part of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck. These quirky-looking coins can bring in $50 to $100 or more. Struck on the wrong planchet, Extremely rare. This is when a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime or a foreign coin. These coins can sell for thousands of dollars. So the next time you find a penny in your pocket, take a second look. That ordinary looking coin might be an error piece worth more than you think. Now let's talk about market value. You might be wondering, what are these coins really selling for today? Green Circle A 1976 Lincoln Penny Graded MS67 Red by PCGS recently sold for over $750 at auction. Green Circle A 1976 S-Proof coin with deep cameo contrast graded PR70 sold for $200 plus. Green Circle error coins, like the DDO and off-center strikes, regularly appear on auction sites and fetch between $100 and $2,000 depending on the error and condition. The demand for Lincoln cents has remained steady in the numismatic community for decades. Because the Lincoln cent series is one of the most collected coin series in the U.S., coins like the 1976 penny, especially in high grade or with rare errors, continue to rise in value over time. Look at the date and see if there's a mint mark under the year. Check the overall condition. Is it shiny, free of scratches, no wear on Lincoln's face or jacket? Look for doubling on the date or letters, especially "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Flip the coin and inspect the Lincoln memorial for sharpness and detail. If you suspect it might be valuable, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for professional evaluation. The 1976 1-cent coin may look like just another penny, but don't let its small size fool you. It's a coin rich with history, minted during one of the most patriotic years in U.S. history, and full of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Whether it's a rare error, a proof coin, or a high-grade mint state example, the humble 1976 penny is a reminder that sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises. So what are you waiting for? Go check your change, dig through those old jars, and see if you have a 1976 penny that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Megaphone, don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin and currency content, and drop a comment below. Have you ever found a rare 1976 penny? Let us know. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and who knows, maybe your next penny will make you rich. Today, we're diving deep into the world of coins, and not just any coin. We're talking about a small, humble, copper-colored piece of metal that might just be hiding in your pocket or coin jar right now, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin from the United States of America. Yes, that's right, the penny. But hold on, don't underestimate it. This seemingly ordinary coin could actually be worth far more than just 1 cent. Some rare versions of the 1980 penny have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. And in this video, we're going to uncover exactly why. So if you've got a jar of old pennies sitting at home, you might want to check them carefully after this. We'll be talking about the fascinating history behind the 1980 penny, what makes certain ones incredibly valuable, how to spot rare errors that collectors are obsessed with, and what the current market looks like today, including what collectors are paying right now for high-grade examples. This is going to be one exciting ride into numismatic treasure hunting, so stay tuned all the way to the end. Let's rewind for just a moment and set the stage. The Lincoln cent has been around since 1909. It was introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it was the first circulating coin in the U.S. to feature a real person's portrait, a huge departure from previous coins that featured allegorical figures like Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original Lincoln cent featured a wheat stalk design on the reverse. But that design changed in 1959, 100 years after Lincoln's birth, to the Lincoln Memorial design, a familiar sight for those of us who grew up handling these coins. Now, fast forward to 1980, the year our star penny was minted. In 1980, the Lincoln cent was still made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, unlike today's pennies, which are mostly zinc with just a thin copper coating. That makes the 1980 penny heavier and more valuable in terms of metal content alone. It weighs about 3.11 grams compared to the post-1982 pennies that weigh around 2.5 grams. The U.S. Mint produced these coins at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Denver bear a small D mint mark, those from San Francisco have an S, and the Philadelphia coins have no mint mark at all. Here's how many were made in 1980. Philadelphia, over 7.4 billion coins. Denver, over 5.1 billion. San Francisco, proof coins only about 3.5 million. That's a lot of pennies, so what makes some of them so valuable? Keep watching. Now, let's get into the good stuff, value and rarity. While most 1980 pennies are only worth face value in circulated condition, some coins stand out for a few very important reasons. These are the coins collectors are looking for, and they're willing to pay big money for them. There are three major factors that can make a 1980 penny valuable. Mint errors, high-grade condition, rare varieties. Let's break these down. Mint errors can turn an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. Some of the most valuable 1980 Lincoln cents are those with dramatic or unusual minting errors. These errors are rare and usually happened when something went wrong during the coin production process. Some of the most sought-after errors on 1980 pennies include off-center strikes. If the coin wasn't perfectly aligned in the press, part of the design could be missing. A 50% off-center penny with a full date can sell for $100 to $300 or more, depending on condition. Double dies. This happens when the die used to strike the coin impresses the image twice, slightly shifted. Look closely at the date, or the word, Liberty. If you see doubling, you might have a very rare and valuable penny. Some double die coins from other years have sold for thousands, and collectors are on the hunt for more. Die cracks, cuds, and clips. These are small imperfections caused by broken or misaligned dies. They're less common but can still add value, especially if they're dramatic or unique. Here's something that might surprise you. Even without errors, a regular 1980 penny can be worth money. If it's in exceptional condition, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin. These are called mint state coins or MS. For example, an MS 67 1980 penny, with perfect luster, no scratches, and sharp details, can sell for hundreds of dollars, even without any error. A 1980 penny graded MS 67 Plus by PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, has sold for over $1,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny sold for more than $1,000 just because it was in perfect shape. So if you have a 1980 penny that looks brand new, shiny, and untouched, it's definitely worth checking out. Don't forget the 1980 S-proof penny minted in San Francisco. These coins were made for collectors, not circulation. They have a mirror-like surface and incredibly sharp details. While they're not usually super rare, perfect grade-proof coins, like PR69 or PR70, can still be worth $50 to $200, especially if they're certified by a top grading service like NGC or PCGS. If you come across a 1980 penny that looks unusually shiny and flawless, check the mint mark. It could be a proof coin. Now let's talk about the current market value. As of now, here's a rough breakdown of what 1980 pennies are selling for. Circulated coins, 1 to 3 cents, mostly for copper value. Uncirculated MS 65, around $5 to $1.20. MS 66 or higher, $50 to $500 plus, depending on the mint mark. Rare mint errors, $100 to $1,000 plus. Perfect proof coins, $50 to $200. Top graded 1980 DMS 67 plus, $1,000 plus. And remember, coin values can fluctuate depending on demand, collector interest, and market trends. A coin that sells for $200 today could be worth even more in a few years, especially as pristine examples become harder to find. So how do you know if you've got a valuable one? Here's a quick checklist. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling, die cracks, or unusual features. Look for mint marks, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark for Philadelphia. Examine the condition. No scratches, full luster, and sharp details mean higher value. Weigh the coin. It should be about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly different, it could be an error. Consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC if it looks promising. So there you have it, the 1981 cent coin. A piece of American history that you might just have sitting unnoticed in your home. While most of these pennies are common, a few rare gems are out there, and they could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you're a collector, this is a great year to pay attention to. If you're just getting started in coin collecting, this is the perfect coin to learn with. And if you've got jars full of change, maybe it's time to dig through them and see what treasures you might find out. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos about rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures. Drop a comment below if you have a 1980 penny or want help identifying a rare coin. We love hearing from you, and we might even feature your coin in a future video. Today, we're diving deep into a small but mighty piece of American history, the humble 1981 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln penny. It may seem like just a regular old coin, but what if I told you that this tiny copper treasure could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? That's right. Some 1981 pennies are shockingly valuable, and in this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know, from the coin's rich backstory to the market secrets that determine its worth today. So make sure to stick around because you might just have a fortune sitting in your change jar. Let's go back to the year 1981. Ronald Reagan had just taken office as president. MTV launched. And inflation in the US was climbing fast. Amidst all of this, the United States Mint continued producing one of its longest-running coin designs, the Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. The 1981 penny features the familiar design that had already become iconic, Lincoln's right-facing portrait on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, which had been in place since 1959, a design by Frank Gasparo. But what makes the 1981 version special isn't just the design. This was the last full year the penny was struck in mostly copper. That's right. The composition was about 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. Starting in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to zinc-based coins, with a thin copper plating, drastically reducing production costs. That makes the 1981 penny the end of an era, the last of the true copper Lincolns. And for collectors? That's a big deal. Now, let's talk varieties. Because not all 1981 pennies are created equal. There are a few key versions collectors are hunting for. 1981, Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. 1981D, Denver Mint, marked with a D, under the date. 1981S, San Francisco Mint, struck as proofs. But wait, there's more. The 1981S proof cent has two different types, and this is where it gets interesting. Type 1 has a more filled-in, blob-like S mint mark. Type 2 has a clearer, sharper, more defined S mint mark. Collectors pay a premium for the Type 2 because it's rarer and much harder to find in pristine condition. So if you have a proof set from 1981, it's absolutely worth taking a close look. You might be sitting on a small gold mine. Let's talk money. What is this coin actually worth in today's market? Here's where things start to heat up. Most circulated 1981 pennies, the kind that's been used for years and shows wear, are still worth around 1 cent, maybe a few cents more if it's in better condition or has copper melt value. But if you have a mint state version, especially one graded MS65 or higher, values begin to rise quickly. Here are some real market prices from recent auctions and sales. A 1981D Lincoln cent in MS67 red condition sold for $1. For $50, a 1981 no mint mark penny in MS66 red went for over $300. The 1981S Type 2 proof in PR70 deep cameo condition has fetched as high as $2,500 plus at major auctions, and we haven't even talked about errors yet. Those can push values into the stratosphere. Now here's where things get exciting. Mint errors. Errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, and collectors love them. Here are some of the most valuable and sought-after 1981 penny errors, off-center strikes. These can be worth $50 to $500 or more depending on how dramatic the shift is. Doubled dies. A doubled image, especially in the date or Liberty, can command hundreds of dollars. BI errors. A die break between the B and E in Liberty that looks like a small letter I. These quirky errors are worth collecting and can sell for $5 to $100 plus, so always check your 1981 pennies carefully, especially under a magnifying glass. A simple mistake could be worth a small fortune. Now let's talk about the current coin market. Demand for copper coins and high-grade Lincolns is on the rise, especially from younger collectors and investors looking for affordable entry points into numismatics. Online platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and great collections regularly feature 1981 pennies with bidding wars for rare grades and errors. And as copper prices continue to rise, pre-1982 pennies are even being hoarded for their melt value, though it's still illegal to melt US cents. The bottom line? The 1981 penny is no longer just pocket change. It's part of a fast-growing collector's niche. If you find one in great condition, don't spend it, research it, grade it, or get it appraised. You might be holding on to something really special. So, how can you get your hands on valuable 1981 pennies? Check old coin jars, piggy banks, and rolls of pennies from the bank. Buy unsearched penny rolls on eBay or from local dealers, but be cautious and buy from trusted sellers. Visit coin shows or estate sales, where older collections might include untouched 1981 gems. If you suspect your penny is special, consider submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. And when selling, use platforms like eBay, Etsy, or specialized coin auction sites. High-resolution photos, detailed descriptions, and graded coins usually sell for the highest prices. So there you have it, folks. The 1981 1-cent coin, a tiny slice of copper that could be worth a whole lot more than you ever imagined. Next time you're sifting through your change, don't overlook that little Lincoln. It could be your ticket to some serious cash. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss our next deep dive into coin collecting and hidden money tips. Drop a comment if you've ever found a valuable penny, and let us know what year it was. We love hearing your stories. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and remember, every penny counts, especially the 1981 Lincoln cent.